While we're all here, thank you for coming tonight. I'm Eric Struckhoff. I'm the founder of the event, and Cindy Brocker here is my teammate and the new race director as of last year. She brought this race back after the hiatus of 2017, and she did so with a very short window of preparation and very limited resources. Nothing like what I had with the city and the Convention and Visitors Bureau in 2009 when we founded this event. And so I just want to say thank you for volunteering here. You know, with like all events like this, it will work for people like you. It doesn't matter how many racers sign up, how much money we give away, what the prizes are, or how good the courses are, and whether they're finished or not. Without volunteers like you, these events just simply wouldn't go on. So thank you for volunteering. We'll talk a little bit just about what it takes to be a volunteer and the main things you have to keep an eye on, especially when you're a course marshal. Is mainly what we're going to focus on. We'll also have a few other volunteers who will be coordinating other volunteers and helping people register. We'll have volunteers who are taking care of all the volunteers on the course, and we'll have course marshals, which are the most important thing for both rider and spectator safety. And the job of the course marshal is to make sure that no cyclists or vehicles or people are in the same place at the same time. So it's mainly to make sure that pedestrians are not on the course at your corner trying to cross the street while the race is approaching. While the race is in progress, there will be gaps in between riders that will give time for pedestrians to cross the street. And this is especially true on a course like downtown Lawrence, where there's a lot of spectators who want to come and watch, and the speeds are very fast. And in some corners, you only have one of those short blocks, say between New Hampshire and Massachusetts, in order to react to the approaching race and prevent any pedestrians from entering the street. So the main things that we keep an eye on as course marshals are the pedestrians around us, the motorcycles who come into view ahead of the race, especially downtown. We don't have motorcycles on all the courses, or the lead riders among the racers, and the marshal who is on the corner before you. So the marshal on the corner before you will signal that the race is approaching them at a distance of about half a block on the long blocks, or the short blocks between Mass and Vermont, or Mass and New Hampshire, by blowing their whistle and raising their flag. And that will tell the next volunteer, the next course marshal, that the race is about a half a block from them. And so when they approach you at about a half a block, so their signal gives you the sign that the race is approaching, and that's your signal to get ready to stop the flow of pedestrians across the street at your corner, and also get ready to raise your flag and blow your whistle when the race comes into view again, if you're on one of those short blocks between Mass and New Hampshire, or Mass and Vermont. Or if you're on a long block and you can see all the way from, say, 8th Street to 9th Street, then you would, when those riders get about halfway down that block, that's about 300 feet or so, that's when you blow your whistle, raise your flag. That signals to the next marshal that the race is approaching. So everybody can be ready one marshal ahead of time to know that that race is approaching. You can take a look at the pedestrians around you and make sure that they all know that they're not supposed to be crossing the street. And you do that by blocking the course. First you raise your flag and blow your whistle. That lets everybody around you know to pay attention to you. And when you do this, and you physically block the sidewalk, the crossing area, that's your job. And at that point, it's important to keep an eye on the pedestrians around you. It's tempting to turn and watch the race, but it's more important to keep an eye on the pedestrians who are approaching you. So sometimes that means either taking good stock of the people around you before you block the street, or actually trying to face the people on the sidewalk. That's a better way of making eye contact with them and letting them know that they shouldn't be walking in the street. Now, it's okay to touch people with your arms. You may have, people are leaning over, they're approaching a little too fast. You might have to say, no, physically stop them. If they're bound and determined to walk out into that street, they might do that. And that has happened. And you can't be held responsible for that, and you won't be. But it's important to be firm, be authoritative. You've got the orange vest. Exactly. And so it's important to be firm and take charge of that situation at every lap. Now, as the race progresses, at first the racers are all going to be together, right? So there'll be a big bunch that goes by, and then there will be a long pause. On the downtown course, for instance, it could be somewhere between 2 to 3 minutes till the race comes around again. So there's plenty of time early in each race for those pedestrians to make their way across the street. As the race goes on, especially in the longer races, the race starts to spread out. Groups separate, leaders separate, trailers separate. It might be a main pack in the middle, and so it's important to keep an eye on how that race is developing and whether there's gaps forming. If there's 3 big groups, then it's important to kind of keep an eye on how big the gaps are in between those groups. And again, the marshal before you will be giving you clues with the whistle and the flag about what the gaps are and whether another group of riders is approaching. All the volunteers this year will receive a water bottle. There will be t-shirts for sale, I think, and jerseys, for racing jerseys for sale, cycling jerseys for sale.
We do have some other little fun things that volunteers, besides the water bottle, which you will get pre-filled with ice water, and there will be water jugs at every corner so that you can refill it, rather than handing out bottles of water that then create a lot of trash. We thought this was better, plus you get a nice commemorative bottle of heat. We also have 3 different items for you to choose from. There's a visor that has Tour of Lawrence on it, or you can get a cute little duo that's a sunscreen and a lip balm, or a cooling towel. So you'll get to pick for one of those 3 things as your thank you gift for volunteering with us. Also, volunteers that are at the downtown course are going to be getting Jimmy John's for lunch. The Haskell course will get yellow sub, and assuming we're in East 9th, we'll be getting food from Lawrence Beer Company. So you'll also get fed.
All right, and we'll have people on the course circulating with food and with chances. If you need to take a break for a moment, we'll have people circulating the course periodically, either in a
truck
or a truck, to give you the assistance you need, take care of you while you're out there. We really want to make it an event that you want to come back and participate in, because it is a lot of fun. So we'll have 2 to 3 shifts each day, depending on the duration of the day's events. And we will have an overlapping swing shift. And so we'll have some flexibility in there. I think the shifts are 4 hours each?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so on the downtown course, and if we do this course, you'll be standing the whole time. So it's going to be important to be prepared with proper clothing, sunscreen, and like I said, we're gonna have water and food for you, so that will be taken care of. Make sure you're comfortable and ready to do that for 4 hours at a time. As I said, we'll have relief crews out on the course to take care of you if you need to take a break or anything like that, and don't be afraid to let them know. Of course.
Do you have a Haskell course up there, a map somewhere? We're talking about it.
And if you're out here on this course, there's probably an opportunity to bring a chair. And but because the frequency with which you're going to have fewer, you're not even going to have to do any crowd control or automobile control each lap. It's going to be every several laps there might be somebody approaching, and you probably won't have to do any crowd control because they're probably going to be walking. They're going to be there to see the race. They're going to be walking around the perimeter, and they're probably going to be waiting for it to come by and then cross the course. So the pressures on this course are way, way less. You can bring a chair, be comfortable.
There is a residence hall right here, OK Hall, which is where the Haskell students will be staying that are doing summer school. There's not a lot of them, and I think we only saw like 3 or 4 last year, and they were really cool and just kind of wanted to see what was going on. They stayed and watched for a while, but it's just kind of I just want to make sure that whoever is stationed at that corner is aware that they might stumble out of their dorm in the morning and not quite know what's going on, and I don't want a Haskell student to get hit by a bike. That would not be good.
Because they've been a big supporter of this.
Yeah.
They have been very successful out there.
On this course, and last year, in fact, there was another event going on, a swimming meet that was going on here at the same time. So we do have a lot of experience handling cars that need to cross the course. It's a fact of life doing road racing in the United States and anywhere, is that sometimes cars need to use the roads on that we're using. And so we have ways of handling that, and we just make sure that they don't go the opposite way on the course, that we find them a good time to go across the course, and what we're going to do is we're going to really help them get across the course. We're not going to hold them up. We're not there to delay them. We're not there to inconvenience them. It is an inconvenience. It is sometimes a disruption, but what we're there to do is help them. If they can wait just a moment, we're gonna help you get out as quick as we can, just as soon as these riders come by, that sort of thing.
We also have some notices that we'll be putting on their doors to remind them and tell them that the race is happening, and to understand that it's our intention to keep everybody safe. And please bear with us and just wait, and we'll make sure that you can get where you need to go.
Here's parking. You'll come in either probably under the viaduct from Leonard Avenue, north of 23rd Street. I don't think it's marked here, but there's an underpass right here under 23rd Street, and you'll just proceed down here, and there will be a marshal here to guide you if you need to, if you're driving to the course. But that's the same thing we did last year. It's very simple. And the idea is that you keep the cars going in the same direction if they need to transit the course as the racers while the race is in progress. And like I said, it's something that does happen and something we've handled many times.
The Haskell Health Center is also right here, and they have a parking lot. I don't believe that we will actually end up having food trucks. So this parking lot, this is where the cultural center is. There would be some space to park in there also. But whoever is marshaling this corner is going to, hold you until it's safe for you to come into that.
So check-in and registration is moved then?
Yes,
Okay.
It's not going to be across the course anymore. We're putting it right by the start-finish line. We've got a big tour of Lawrence tent, so it'll be easy to spot. So we've got rider check-in and volunteer check-in basically like on opposite corners of the tent. So it'll all be pretty obvious.
And if you're signing up for Friday, that's going to be probably even less, almost zero pedestrian pressure there. But there will be a few driveways along the course that might have cars transiting, and they are allowed. They can come on the course at the same time, because the time trial is an event that is one rider at a time against the clock, and they're going to be at 1 minute or 30-second intervals.
1 minute intervals.
So every 1 minute, a rider goes, and they all have their own separate time. So there's big space in between each rider, somewhere between a quarter to a half mile. And so it's okay for the cars to be on the road. It's just like being on any road in Douglas County where there's cyclists on either side and they're far apart. They're allowed to get on the course, and it's important just to stop them if a rider is approaching, and just let them know that riders are going to be up and down the course. They can pass them just fine. It's no problem.
Riders wide shoulder on Old 59.
Yeah, it's starting here, going up the hill at Pleasant Grove, all the way almost to the water tower, turning around and then back down. Now the juniors will take a shorter course. They won't go up and down the hill, but most riders will go all the way up and down. And so your job, if you're a course marshal on Friday, will be just to remind drivers that there's riders on the course. We will remind riders that the road is open to cars, and that they need to make sure that they stick to the right side of the road, just in case that somebody needs to pass them and there's a rider coming in the other way. At the same time, there's plenty of room for a car to pass through without inconveniencing either the motorist or making the riders have to slow down. And so there's 12 or 13 spots along that road.
Really? That we had marshals out? I was thinking.
Yeah, we did. It was almost entirely my women's free state racing last year, plus a few other people. There are, I kind of think 9 different spots where we have a person, where there's a driveway or a road.
No.
I don't think that we saw hardly any cars at all last year.
Most of them are individual driveways. There's a couple of roads. There's a loop road out here, but traffic should be quite light. It'll be the 5th of July. And it'll start at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
4:30, first ride off at 4:30.
Okay. So the parking for both volunteers and racers will be, it goes all the way under the bridge. There's a big wide shoulder on 1000 Road, and under the bridge up towards, Wells Overlook is right here. So this is the old Louisiana Street right here that we moved over to Michigan and cut down, and then there's Wells Overlook is right here, and then just beyond that, before you get to the underpass at Highway 59, there'll be parking on both sides of the road?
I believe you can park on both sides of the road.
All right, and then let's go to the downtown course, and we'll just talk a little bit about how we set up the course and positions of the marshals. So the start finish line will be at 9th Street again, as usual, but instead we're going to go down and turn right, come back up 2 blocks, all the way back to 7th Street, and then it'll be downhill here, almost flat, maybe a little bit down, and then it'll be slightly uphill here. But when they come, those last couple of laps, when they get up to the top of 7th Street, and they start this dive down 7th to New Hampshire, the speeds are really gonna pick up. And,
Sorry.
and so right here, right here in the middle is the road, the intersection is divided diagonally, right? And so riders pass each other in both directions as the race progresses. The slower riders will be seeing those fastest riders coming toward them, and they'll be passing each other. But right here, where the sandbar is and Sunflower Bike Shop, they're gonna have a party going on here. And so this is gonna be a pretty exciting corner. There's also gonna be a lot of pedestrian pressure here, and probably a lot here as well. This corner right here will be a great spectator area. There'll be a lot of people down here, and this corner is usually pretty busy too, but this center area is gonna be very rich in pedestrians. There's gonna be a lot of people wanting to cross the streets in all directions. And so these positions here are critical. Now we like to have, at each crossing, we like to have a marshal on both sides, because you can't physically stop somebody who's across the street and wanting to walk toward you. And so we would try to have 2 here and 2 here, 2 here and 2 here,
Sorry.
etc. And then the same thing here, we'd have 2, 2, 2, and 2. So we have 8 marshals here to guard this. And we usually have some of our long-time senior marshals who've done this many times, who aren't afraid to.
Really get in people's faces.
Some of our tall guys will be there, and who blow the whistle really hard. And when you blow the whistle, you want to give it a really strong toot, not a weak little wheezing toot. You want to toot that
Don't
thing.
crescendo into
Yeah,
it. Just
yeah.
stay
You
watered down
want
with that.
to hit it hard and really get people's attention. So we'll have 8 there, and then what we ideally we'll have 2, like I said, at each crossing. So 4 at each corner that's not the center. Now some of the corners historically have been pretty light in pedestrian traffic, especially when we had it down here. This was pretty light, and in this one you can sometimes get the person across the street's attention. You know, if you're just one person on one side, and that might be the same case over here. But again, you know, in the start-finish line, usually we'll have this fenced off a certain distance, a few hundred meters in each direction on both sides, and then there will be center crossings here, and of course intersections here. Now, each block, of course, has a center crosswalk as well. Again, registration will be here, usually in the shadow of the bank, right behind the medical tent and the start-finish announcer stand. You'll go there, pick up your vest and your flag, and if you're coming in on a later shift, you might show up early and get some food, because we'll have one big delivery of food before the first shift ends, and you'll be there before the second shift begins, so that the second shift people can come in, grab a bite to eat before they get on the course, and the food will be there for those people who are getting off the course in the middle of the day. And so that's when you pick that up before and after, and then you'll return your vest and your flag, but not your water
The
bottle.
whistle is yours to keep, and the water bottle is
The
yours.
whistle you can keep.
If you know anybody that's interested in volunteering, you know, invite them to come down. We can register people there on the spot, you know. that
Absolutely,
morning.
bring a friend, or 2 or 3.
So it's enough, or do you need more volunteers? Or
Yes.
Well,
Oh, yes.
Always need
Yes,
more
yes,
volunteers.
Or-
Always need more
I mean, we
volunteers.
figure 100 people to do the downtown race.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. Looking forward to seeing you next weekend.
Do we